What's good, guys? This is Brandon Brown here from Plot Twist Creative, and I want to talk to you guys about the beauty of failure. Before we get into the large piece of this talk, I kind of want to talk to you guys a little bit about my life and share a secret with you all. So don't laugh, even though it doesn't matter. I can't quite hear you anyway, if you did. But I'm going to share this with you. I don't know how to ride a bike. Not to say I haven't tried. I just, I stopped caring to want to learn. Back when I was about 8, maybe 7 years old, my dad tried to teach me how to ride a bike. We were through the neighborhood. I used to see all the other kids riding their bikes, and I would get really jealous because I'm the straggler walking behind them. I'll never forget, I got on the bike, I had the training wheels on, and he's behind me kind of pushing my seat, trying to steer me forward, and just like a dad normally does, he kind of like lets go. I guess he's trying to help me believe that he's still behind me, but really it's just me. When in turn I kind of wish he was still behind me, because I went straight into a curb and fell completely off that bike, scraped both my knees, and I was scarred for life, literally and emotionally and spiritually. And I remember just laying there on the ground and thinking, is this the type of pain it takes to learn to ride a bike? Like, why would anyone want to experience this? Why would you want to scrape your knees? Why would you want to be hurt just to look cool with your friends riding around the neighborhood? You know what? I'm cool walking. Like, that's perfectly fine. So from that moment forward, I kind of stopped wanting to learn. I stopped trying. From that point forward, I actually never tried to get back on a bike. But now what's interesting is that I find myself in these conversations when people start reminiscing about their nostalgic moments as a child, about riding a bike, and I have nothing to offer during this conversation. It led me to a couple questions about myself. The first question it led me to was, how at the age of 8 did I learn if I keep doing this, I'm going to continue failing, right? And who wants to go through this pain? So let me just stop doing it and be comfortable with the lifestyle that I've always had. The second thing I really was kind of intrigued about was, at a young age, how could I understand something so complex as embarrassment and learning to cope with failure instead of getting back on the bike to experience the success that all the other kids have experienced before. I'm not the first person or the first kid to fall off a bike. And I'm sure they all have scraped their knees at one time before as well. So I found it very interesting that as a kid, I related me falling off the bike to maybe this just isn't for me, instead of getting back on the bike and finding the success within the failure that I had experienced. So I have a question for all of you, and I had to ask myself this question too. What opportunities have we distanced ourselves from because of future pain that we think will happen? I'm sure you guys have heard the word self-sabotage, and how we will sometimes see the success that's in front of us, but we understand without truly knowing what the pain will be to get there, we understand there will be pain. And it's just something we don't want to experience because maybe we've been through pain before. Maybe we've been through similar pain to what we think will happen with this piece of success. But at the end of the day, it's really about what are we keeping ourselves from and what type of success is right past the pain that we think we'll experience. Learning to love failure really means admiring the journey that comes with success. I think sometimes we think that we can cut corners into gaining what we want. Imagine a baseball diamond. Imagine you at bat, right? And to your right, there's first base, but you want to get to second base. So without doing the hard work and hitting the ball with all of your power and your accuracy so that the outfielders don't reach for that ball and call out, you decide that as soon as you hit the ball, you're just going to run straight past the pitcher. and you're going to go straight to second base, as if now you've made your own game, as if your new rules apply to this game that already has rules set. And that's just not the case. This journey of failure that leads to success, you have to complete the full diamond. You can't run to where you think you can go and no one's going to notice, or that God isn't going to notice. He has to bring you through the full diamond in order for you to complete that home run. Failure is God's greatest tool to activating His glory in your life. And I'm going to prove that today. But I'm also going to prove that there's two types of failures here. There's failure that you commit to yourself, and there's failure that comes knocking on your door when it's just your time to experience it. We're going to walk through Matthew just for a split second. And I want to look through that book in the 26th chapter, verse 33 through 34, where it says, Peter told him, even if everyone falls away because of you, I will not fall away. And Jesus said to him, truly I tell you, tonight before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Jesus wasn't giving his opinion. He was prophesying to Peter that he was going to do something. It wasn't a matter of he thinks he's going to do this or he hopes he doesn't do this. This was a moment that he was telling Peter, no, you're going to deny me 3 times. Almost like it's a part of the plan. Isn't that crazy? How failure can be a part of the overall plan for the success to happen. In Matthew 26, verse 69, it says, now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. A servant girl approached him and said, you were with Jesus of Galilee too. But he denied it in front of everyone and said, I don't know what you're talking about. That's just the first denial. And for the next couple of verses, he continues to deny Jesus. The text says he wept bitterly. The idea that Jesus would prophesy that Peter's going to deny him. And maybe Peter just thought he wasn't going to at all. Maybe even Peter said, you know what, just because Jesus said this, I'm going to be thinking for the next few days of not denying him. And it didn't quite matter what Peter did. Right? It's about the idea that prophecy had to fulfill itself. That prophecy of Peter failing is what he didn't know would actually bring Jesus into the hands of Pilate so that then he could actually go to the cross. And then we all know what happens from there, right? He's raised again. But imagine if Peter did not listen to Jesus' prophecy. Imagine he actually stepped out of the will of God and he tried so hard not to fail Jesus and deny him that he didn't at all. Where would we be? Where would we be without that piece of failure that Peter had to endure through? And that's kind of the journey here about failure meeting success. It's not about trying to rush to beat success or rush to meet it. It's about having to go through the things that God has designed, God has written in your book for you to go through to get to where you're trying to be. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's the job that you've been searching for and it's right there. You can see it. Maybe it's a new piece of business. Maybe it's a new opportunity. Maybe it's actually God's calling for your life. That you think that you can just kind of skirt around these moments of pain, these moments of struggle, these moments of trials and tribulations. You think that you can get to where God has called you to because you can do it on your own. There are moments of failure that have been destined for your life in order for you to reach your calling. Failure is God's greatest tool for you to receive His glory in your life. Maybe to Peter it looked like he had failed God, but in reality, he had actually just followed God's obedience. And sometimes that obedience doesn't quite look like what we think obedience always looks like. Sometimes it's God saying, hey, you're gonna deny me 3 times, and doing it. And maybe it doesn't feel good, but you know in the end, it means that God becomes Christ. So I want to bring this back because I got really deep. Maybe I should have kept up riding the bike. Maybe I missed out on a key piece of God's glory riding the bike. I know that's kind of like, probably not, maybe so. But the overall idea is is that we as creatives, we think we can create our way through to success. The path that God maybe designed doesn't feel good. Maybe you saw a piece of it. It doesn't look good. There's a lot of stuff in the middle of that's going to cause some pain. And you don't want to really deal with it. No one wants to deal with it, right? So what we do as creatives is we create our own journey. And in that journey, it starts with me here, and over there is success, and it's just a straight line. And that's just not how God designed our paths. So until we take a look as to what God designed for us, the failures that come with that success, the struggle that comes with that success, we'll never actually have the tools and the resources and the wisdom in order to have the success He's called us to. We'll just think that we can just go straight to the success, but we'll be completely immature to actually receive it. Maybe you've already cut corners. Maybe you've already said, is there a way to get back to the road that God designed me to be on instead of the one that maybe you built for yourself? I'm here to say it's true. You can. I'm a witness to it. I've built my own roads, and I've seen that road takes me far further away from what God had always designed me to go through, the journey He designed me to experience and enjoy. Where the road that I tried to design for myself was kind of bleak. And that piece of success that I saw me designing that road to, it just seemed to kind of keep pushing back further. So I want to present this motto to you guys. It's something that I've been living by the last 3 years. It's fail, learn, succeed, repeat. And understanding that this is the journey, right? There is no one piece of success unless it is just to be with the Father. There's no repeat to that. But the beginning of this is to fail. In failing, we understand that it's not a moment that we are defeated, it's a moment to learn. And from that failure that we learn, we actually take those things that we have learned to kind of keep us progressing through that journey that God has called us to, which we do find the success in. And maybe it's small, maybe it's large, maybe it's something you've been dreaming about all your life. At the end of the day, when you find that success, now you're repeating the same journey for something else that God has called you to do, for something else that He's called you to have. So I want you guys to take the time just to write down what your successes are. Write down what the desires of your heart are. But then when you're done with that, write down all the failures you've experienced. And I want you to look at failures and your successes side by side. And I want you to pray over both of those. And I want you to thank God for your failures more than you thank God for the other side of that page. Change your relationship with failure so that all that God has called you to, everything that He's ordained for you to have, everything He's called you to be, you not only will reach, you not only will have, but you'll have a journey that you've appreciated, that you've loved, that you haven't regretted. Something that you'll look back on and you'll be proud of. Failure isn't an inherently bad thing. It's actually quite beautiful. It's what we need to continue going. It's what keeps us going. It's the idea that when we fall down, we're not supposed to stay there. We weren't meant to then continue crawling through our life. We were meant to get back up again and continue walking. And I think sometimes we think that the moment we fall, it's that moment that our life is over, or that there's no more purpose in our life. And that's really just the beginning of something. It's the beginning to that success that you desire to have. Fail. Fail often. Fail hard. And then when you're done, pray. Make sure that you're bringing your failures and your struggles to God. Because then and only then will He teach you how to overcome them and what you are to do next. And only then will you find the success that you were looking for. And then repeat. Thank you guys.